You're the sick man, dominating. I've said it before and I'll say it again. What a place to train. How we go?
Get it out of my face. Get it out of my face.
How we go?
Felt great.
Time?
14:20.
That's great.
It's 9 seconds.
9 seconds off. Well done. That was wet underfoot too.
It was really wet going up.
The decisions we make in life and training can be viewed as bets. For example, we're betting the decision we make to a choice that we have is superior probability-wise to any other decision available to us. As an example, if you decide to get married, you're betting your life will be better being married than not. Then you're betting that your spouse is the one to be married to over anyone else. And obviously the same thing goes for our training. So let's look at some common bets that you might be placing in your training consciously or by default. Flexibility, strength, speed, and endurance are the things that we'll look at, or as our English friends would say, suppleness, strength, speed, and stamina. Kicking off with flexibility, it'll come as no surprise the majority of people are making poor bets within this physical quality. Not everyone, of course, but most. Apparently, it's now well established that stretching before training is bad. Now, 95% of the time, I bet against this, choosing to stretch before training. Why? One of the many reasons is the priority principle. For decades, Ian King has shared what gets done first in training gets done best. It's as simple as that. I could walk into training locker rooms, gyms, fields, pools, academies, dojos, and facilities anywhere in the Western world tomorrow morning and find an endless number of sports people lacking in flexibility. Strength is next. Strength training is a staple of athletes around the world. However, outside of the traditional strength sports of Olympic lifting and powerlifting, warm-up sets seem to be disappearing faster than physical cash circulation is in society. I bet beginning the first exercise of your session with an empty barbell, or its equivalent if it's not a barbell exercise, and executing multiple progressive warm-up sets dependent on the weight of your first work set is the best course of action for your training goals and injury status both now and long term. Just because you can lift heavier with no warm-up or a limited warm-up doesn't mean you should. Err on the side of caution and be progressive in your warm-up sets. If you're short on time, don't cut the warm-up sets. You modify or cut work sets if your goal is no injuries in the gym, which should be everyone's goal. It's been fascinating to me how many otherwise intelligent people do stupid things when it comes to loading and strength training. Moving on to speed training. It doesn't matter if your sport is a speed-based sport or not. Speed will be a component of your sport. When training this component, minimizing fatigue via appropriate manipulation of training variables, think the volume of training you're doing, the intensity, the rest periods, the work to rest ratios, and so on, is vital. So it's my bet, less is more, to use a Charlie Francis saying, when it comes to speed training, which means less work and more rest during drills to minimize fatigue and ensure that work you're doing is of the highest technical quality. Should fatigue creep in and your execution slow down, you've got to ask yourself, what adaptation are you now rehearsing? And finally, endurance. More often than not, I bet too many people compete with unnecessary residual fatigue during competition. One way to avoid this is figuring out your own peaking plan leading into competition. Typically, it'll take you 2 to 3 iterations to lock it down, so best test it out well before any important competition. And on this, I've put a link in the description of a peaking plan Cameron Quinn has used with great success over the last 30 years with martial artists. There you have it, a few of the many bets I regularly make in training, professionally and personally.